Hi, I'm Janet Raftis, Master Energy Healer and Intuitive Development Teacher. And almost every Tuesday at 5:15 Eastern, I do a little Facebook Live in which I share about tools and tips and things that can help intuitive and sensitive people. So today I'm actually going to be talking about tools, and I'm going to share a few of my favorites and talk a little bit about a few different ones. There are so many tools out there, and an important part of working with tools is finding the tools that resonate with you. When you have found the right tools for you, they can be your best friends for sure. Working with tools that are not the right tools for you can be frustrating and actually block the flow of intuition. So actually take some time to, as you're starting to explore tools, or even if you've been working with tools for a while but are feeling like you want to open that up a little bit, take some time and spend time with them and really feel what resonates with you. Do some research, go to a metaphysical store and find what really lights you up. A tool that is good for you will light you up. You will feel good when you're working with it. It should be an enlightening experience, a loving experience, even if you feel like you're still novice at it. So even if there's a little bit of frustration, you'll still be excited and lit up by it. So anyway, I wanted to share some of my favorite tools today. And like I said, there are so many different tools. I'm gonna share gemstones, cards, a pendulum, sage. Basically, that's probably about it because of time. But know that beyond those things, there are runes, there are tea leaves, there are crystal balls. You really can use crystal balls to tell the future. There are divination boards, though I do not recommend Ouija boards. They're connected to what I have found to be, they can be, because of the field that they're connected to, they can be an opening for some pretty awful stuff. So if you do like to use divination boards, either make your own or find one that has a very loving energy. And there are more, and people have been making up their own divination tools since time began, because really a tool is how spirit is a way to nurture, foster your connection to spirit. It is something, when we talk about metaphysical tools are there to help reinforce and strengthen your connection to spirit. So you don't really need tools. You can talk to spirit without tools. You don't have to use any of the tools I'm going to mention. You can do everything that I'm going to tell you about today without the tools. But using tools can be fun. It can be a part of ritual. As humans, we enjoy engaging with things. Tools have great energy, and so that might be something that can be really nurturing, and that will also facilitate the connection because you like to be with them. And not only that, but when you start to tune into these vibrational resonances, you will find that it will accelerate, it will activate, it will accentuate things. Tools are especially great when you're starting out working with your intuition, because they can be like a huge springboard for you. I go through phases where I use tools all the time, and then maybe I won't use them as much, and then I'll use them all the time again. But I still love them. And in a reading, I might use tools and I might not. And it just depends. Sometimes it just depends on what energy is flowing. I just tune in and I listen to what's right for me and for my client if I'm with somebody else in that moment. And as far as I'm concerned, I just go with what feels right. Sometimes when I'm doing a reading, I want to hold a gemstone. Sometimes I don't. Sometimes I want to use cards. Sometimes it doesn't feel right. So just knowing like what is going on with you and what feels right for you will help everything. So I'll start with I think I'll start with cards. And I did do an in-length Facebook Live on cards. So that's something, if you want more information about that, you could go back and look for on my page. But the reason that cards are so great is that cards can help to connect you to spiritual beings or spiritual truths. And this can be something that's really great when you're trying to get information for yourself or for another person. So if you are in a place where maybe you don't feel like your connection with spirit is super strong, like you maybe in meditation you don't feel like you receive the answers, or you feel disconnected a little bit from that. You're still working on that, and that is something that can take time. The answers are always there, but spirit will speak to us in any way that we open the door for spirit to speak to us. So if we don't feel like it's coming in one way, we can try another way, and cards are a great way to do that. A lot of you probably know, whoops, my tools are going crazy, that I'm like super obsessed with this new deck, the Divine Feminine deck. I've been working with it a lot over the last week. And it's been really great. So I love working with cards. They're beautiful. The energy of the author and the artist, you will want to find a deck where the energies of the author and artist resonate with you. Megan Watterson really resonates with me. I love her. And the art here is amazing. So for me, using these cards is like a beautiful experience for my subtle senses and for my physical senses. And so, you can, if I'm like this morning, I was like, who wants to work with me today? It was just, I was like, who wants to come to me in my meditation? And I pulled Khadijah. Oh, and Faye, I see that you're on right here. You'll love that I pulled Khadijah. Khadijah helps you with finances, and she helps single moms with finances. So that was one of the meanings for her. And it was so beautiful, and the message was so perfect for me today with some stuff that I've been thinking about. And so that just gave me a great way to enter my spiritual practice this morning. If you like to work with fairies, there are great fairy decks out there. This is one of my favorites, the Fairies Oracle by Brian Froud. He's like the fairy expert. You could work with tarot, and you can work with animal spirits, and it's the same thing. So you would just, if you love working with the natural world, pulling an animal spirit card to have, connection, to feel connection, like what animal is wanting to work with me today, who has a message for me today, is a beautiful way to reinforce your spiritual practice. I want to move on to gemstones, especially because my appetite sphere is rolling all over the place. So I'll show you that first. So gemstones are another great way to work with spirit. And so basically anytime we work with a tool has a vibrational resonance, and that vibrational resonance is going to help align you with whatever the tool is aligned with. So for example, and this is a really easy example, so I'm going to show you my Merlinite wand. And by the way, both of these stones and a few others that I'm going to show you, I got from the Crystal Witch. You can find her on Facebook, and her stuff is awesome. She puts a lot of love into the gemstones and crystals that she sells. This is a Merlinite wand. So a Merlinite wand helps to connect you to Merlin. And this is a great way, if you're interested in working with Merlin, this is a great way to reinforce that, because the vibrational frequency of this stone is in resonance with the vibrational frequency of Merlin. Now, do you have to have the stone to talk to Merlin? No, you can talk to Merlin without the stone. I talked to Merlin before I ever knew that Merlinite existed. But I love this stone. It feels good. It's beautiful. The vibration of it is amazing. And it's really cool to pick it up and have that intention of, I'm connecting with Merlin. Plus, in my early days, before I was able to connect with Merlin, it probably would have been really awesome to have had this tool, because it would have amplified the frequency that connects me to Merlin, if that makes sense. So gemstones are really powerful in that way. If you're wanting to work on communication, apatite would be a really great stone to work with. So if this is something that you're working on, speaking your truth, communicating with spirit, with people, working with your intuition and your third eye, apatite is a really great stone to work with. And this is something you can just hold in your hand while you're meditating, or you can put it on your altar, or you can desk, you can have it around you. I said I would share a few must-haves with y'all today. So I'm going to share a few more stones that I think are I think if you are just starting with gemstones, these would be the gemstones to have. Okay, so first would just be a clear quartz. A clear quartz is kind of like the gemstone that would do everything. There's nothing that it doesn't help you with. And I really love quartz wands. They're easy to work with. They're easy to hold. The energy feels very concentrated in them for me. So that's something that feels really good to me. I also think amethyst is a great stone. Again, amethyst does a lot. It can help you with your intuition. It can help you with your creativity. It even helps with grounding. It's also very beautiful. It amplifies energy, and it is very strong. So for some people, amethyst can be a really, really strong upper chakra stone, and for others, it will be very balancing. So again, you just want to tune into the stones and see how they feel for you. When I first started working with my intuition, I carried 2 stones in my pockets almost all the time. And this actually was the kind, I've had this kyanite for I don't even know how many years and years and years. This little kyanite, so kyanite, blue kyanite works really well with the third eye chakra, and a hematite. Hematite is a very heavy stone. It's very grounding. And so for me, this was a really good balance. I tend to go up into the upper chakras a lot. And so for me, I like to balance that, especially before, like I'm more balanced now because I have learned a lot of tools and I know how to manage my energy and so forth and so on. But the road to getting to where I am now was really challenging. And so I always had a hematite in my pocket. So those 2 were must-haves for me. And then I think a rose quartz is an amazing stone. Rose quartz is all about love. It's a heart chakra stone. It's about love for yourself. Like it really, when I was doing a lot of intense healing about maybe 12 years ago, one of my girlfriends who was a healer and she was one of my mentors as well, she did a healing session on me with a bunch of rose quartz, and then she sent me home with like jewelry, like a necklace and a bracelet and a chunk of rose quartz, and she was like, you need to have it on you all the time. And I understand that more now. A lot of times when I'm working with clients who are really struggling with or in a healing process or struggling with self-love, then rose quartz is such an amazing tool to have with you, and you can sleep with it under your pillow, put it on your nightstand, you can carry it in your purse, you can carry it in your pocket. It comes in all shapes and sizes, so it's really it's just really powerful and loving. And then lastly, with the stones, I think it's really great to have a tourmaline with you. Tourmalines filter negative energy, heavy, dense energy. I have here a black tourmaline and a brown tourmaline, which I'm in love with this brown tourmaline. Thank you, Stephanie. This one's got some mica in it. It's really beautiful. But they filter energy, and so this is something that, like, my son is on the computer a lot, so he's got tourmaline on his desk. It helps to filter that type of energy. I also have them on my altar. I have them in my office. Sometimes I'll carry in my pocket. Now again, I do a lot of work with my energy field so that I know that I am always filtering out energy. So again, you don't have to have these things, and a lot of times I'm not carrying one of these on my body, but sometimes I am. Or if I know that I'm gonna go someplace where there might be a lot of energy, like maybe a concert or something like that, or to a shopping mall, I might throw one in. It holds an intention for you as well, that if you have, I'm reading Joe's, you've needed this for years. Yes, and Victoria, you're right too. It helps to really filter out energies that are around you, which can help you to feel safe. It can, it's really, really potent. So this is something that, I don't know where I was going a minute ago. So this is something that I recommend that everybody who's working with gemstones, who likes gemstones, has. Okay, a few other things. Tools to help clear the energy of your space while we're talking about clearing the energy of your space. Sage and Palo Santo. So burning both of these will help to clear the energy of your space. Oh, I know what I was going to say, is that it works with intention, right? So one of the great things about working with any of these tools and gemstones, so if you want to have that as an intention, that you're filtering out energy that doesn't serve you, then even that in and of itself, carrying a tourmaline with you will help you to hold that intention. Does that make sense? So it's like you can actually reinforce your intentions by having a little talisman with you. It just helps us to remember, and also it's awesome. So the sage and the Palo Santo are both tools for keeping the energy of your space cleared. You burn both of them, and you just go through your space with them. Again, you can use other tools to clear your space. You can use visualization, you can use intention. They all work, but there is something really nice about burning sage and Palo Santo. And sage actually has been proven to counteract and destroy a lot of unhealthy microbiomes that are in the air. So it really does have a scientific purpose to it. All right, and then the last tool that I'm gonna share with you all today is just a pendulum. Pendulums work really, really well for some people. They don't work really well for other people. Pendulums do work with your higher self, so you can influence them. So it's really important if you're going to work with a pendulum to stay neutral. And this is something that can be really challenging for a lot of people. Sometimes when I'm working with a pendulum, I've gotten good at being neutral, but it took me a while. And so sometimes what I would do is I would ask the question of the pendulum, and then I would kind of like divert my attention and let the pendulum do its thing, and then look back at the pendulum to see what was happening. So that might be something, if you struggle with the pendulum, might be something to try. It's like you kind of want to get your expectations and desires out of the way so that your higher self can communicate through you. And basically what you do with the pendulum, if you're working with one, is you would ask the pendulum to show you a yes, and you would let it spin in the direction, and you guys might have a hard time seeing this, so my yes is pretty much always a clockwise motion, so it's spinning clockwise right now. And then you would, so that's my yes, clockwise, and then if you want to know a no, you ask it to show you. And so my no is a counterclockwise, it's going in that direction right now. And then you would, and I can't show you guys everything. My hand is probably shaking and moving a little bit, but it's not moving and shaking enough to make it go one direction or the other. So now I'm going to ask it to show me neutral, and neutral just kind of bops around in one place. So, and another way just to show you guys how a pendulum was work is that I'll show you it. I'm gonna have it measure my hand chakra for you. So you can kind of see how the pendulum picks up the energy. It just works with energy. It's just working with the vibration of the energy that it's tapped into, that it resonates with. So you can see that it's doing something completely different now as it measures my hand chakra. And I'm not moving my hand, maybe a little bit jiggling, but not enough to do this. So you can ask the pendulum. The pendulum is great for yes-no questions that will help you. And you also know my favorite divination tool, speaking of the yes-no, is your body. So actually, I don't want to forget that. I'll talk about that in a minute. But with that, you want to ask the yes-no questions, right? So and typically stuff that's in the present. The pendulum, I have found, does not work great for predicting the future. The future is super, I mean, we all have free will, so it's kind of malleable anyway. But the pendulum is great for, you know, is this job opportunity good for me? Or is this relationship for my best and highest good? Questions like that. Again, you can use the pendulum also with a divination board as well. You can write out the alphabet, you could write out answers to questions, and then you can let the pendulum swing in the direction of the answer. So quickly before we get off, I want to share my favorite divination tool. And I do have a couple other Facebook Lives that address this, but my absolute favorite is my body, because I don't always have a pendulum or gemstones or a deck of cards with me, especially if I'm out, you know, running errands or taking a walk. But I always have my body with me. And so you can always use your body to let you know your yes, no. And when you do that, what you'll do, at least initially, and I'll actually link, I'll link that video into the comment section. But when you ask the yes in your body, if you get quiet and you close your eyes and you allow the question to come in. So for example, is this a good opportunity for me? A yes will feel, if you're nice and relaxed, a yes will feel like an expansion. You will feel like you're opening. It might be your heart center, your heart chakra. It might be your gut. It might be that you feel lit up or get chills, but it will feel like it's an open and expansive answer. If the answer is no, it will feel constrictive. You might feel yourself tighten up. You might feel your face tighten. You might feel your shoulders round in. So pay attention to the subtle shifts that might occur in your body, but your body never lies. Your body will always tell you the truth. The part that gets difficult is when we have limiting beliefs or our ego is coming in. And so it's really important. That's a tool to practice and to work with and to learn to trust. And also a lot of us just haven't been connected with our bodies for a lot of our lives. And so at first it can feel odd to be connecting in for an answer in our body. But if you work with it, it is absolutely not just my favorite divination tool, but it is the intuitive tool that I use more than any other. I use it all the time, and I use it so much that it has become very second nature to me. I know exactly what the answer is almost all of the time by how my body feels. So if anyone has any questions, go ahead and ask those now, and I'd be happy to answer. And you can ask if you want about other divination tools. I may or may not have an answer for you, but if you're curious about some of the other ones that I mentioned, or maybe even one that I haven't mentioned, feel free to ask about that as well. And also if you want to share, if you have anything that you love working with, or that you're curious about working with, go ahead and share that, and I'll just give you another minute. And if somebody's coming up with something right now, if you are, okay, what stone was in the pendulum? It doesn't matter. So that's a great question, Joe, thank you. So the stone that's in the pendulum is a bloodstone, which is mostly green with some red spots in it. It does not matter. I have a pendulum that has amethyst in it. I have a pendulum that I think has a clear crystal in it. And my cat is going crazy outside. So it's really what resonates with you, what you like. When I got this, I wanted a root chakra stone. And so that was why I picked out this one. But when I got the amethyst one, I wanted an upper chakra stone. So that was, and I just liked them. They all work the same though. They all work the same. I wanted to tell you all that I have a couple of events coming up in Atlanta. I have a one-day workshop that is Foundations of Psychic Development. And then I have in July a retreat, an Energy Explorers retreat, and it's advanced energy exploration. We'll be working a lot with the natural world. We'll be working with animal spirits, nature spirits. We'll be working with different realms. We'll be connecting with the energy of the cosmos as well. We'll be working with tools. We'll actually be making some tools ourselves while we're up there and working with those. So I'm really excited about that. That's July 12th through 15th. Melissa says, I have a big sage wand that I haven't burned. Can you burn a little and then save for later? You can burn a little and save for later, absolutely. And one thing about sage wands, Melissa, so this little piece of sage came off of a gigantic sage wand, and the sage wand was so big that it would completely smoke out everything when I lit it. So I like to just take off little bits and work with the little bits at a time, but you can light it and it'll just burn out. You can either put it out or it'll just let it burn out. And a lot of people will use an abalone shell to keep their sage in for that sort of purpose. Plus it can be messy when you burn it, so you do want something underneath you because ashes will fall off. I love you too, Leah. Thank you. Does anyone else have any questions? Those were great questions. I really appreciate them. If you think of one later, feel free to come into the comments and ask, and I will be more than happy to answer. And thank you all so much for tuning in. It was really great to share some of my favorite tools with you, and I hope that you I hope that you got some insight, and I would love to hear too about if any of these have resonated with you and you start to use them. Please feel free to share again on how they're impacting you. Thank you all so much. All right, have a good one. Bye.